experience to start juniors. Tell me through it. Like, what were any storylines? Did you have any big events happening in the juniors?
Yeah, so I played basketball all up until I was about 11. And then I got sick of that, so I transitioned into footy at Mooroolbark. Played a part of their inaugural under-12s team. I think there was 11 of us. And obviously I was like the tallest one, the oldest one, like had this big mouth guard, and like there's just photos of me and I just look like an idiot. And yeah, I think I was there till I was about 15. We won the first ever girls grand final there. I won a couple of league best and fairest, a couple of team best and fairest, and that was where my enjoyment for footy really came. And then obviously I transitioned to the Rangers program, and then I ended up leaving Mooroolbark and played a couple of games down at Vermont with a few of the Rangers girls. But yeah, my heart lies at Mooroolbark.
Any other Eastern girls come from there, or was it just you that came?
No, just me in my age group, and then Grace Bubba, who I played in her team for like one season or so. But yeah, it was just me that came through from my cohort as such, yeah.
And where'd the leadership stuff, where'd that start? Like, did it start from juniors?
Yeah, absolutely. It started, I think I was named captain like the second season. It was obviously a really big honour at the time, but you know, looking back and the roles that I've accomplished over the last 6 months or so, you know, don't even compare to those ones. But I think that's where my love for it really came from, and I think that's where you develop a lot of those certain qualities to become a successful one in the future when it, you know, kind of matters a little bit more.
And yeah, I guess moving into this year as well, I mean, leadership aside, but even incorporated as well, was that a goal? But even just like in terms of on-field development and actual football itself, what were your goals moving into this year? Yeah,
absolutely. I think leadership was always on the cards for me. I think that's just the person that I am, though. It's always been a skill of mine that I've always wanted to enhance, and obviously I was a part of the leadership group last year for Eastern Rangers as a bottom major, and then to be named the captain for this year was definitely a goal and a successful one. But yeah, it was always something that I wanted to achieve. And I think for me, on field, it was just more of me kind of, there was a word that I used, like kind of just bringing it all together as such, being really a cohesive player, because I've had like strengths that were kind of disparaged over the last couple of seasons, and then trying to really convict all of that in this last season. So I think I did that relatively well. You never know. Who knows if it works out for me. But it was more a matter of just like combining, like getting my skills up touch, like getting my craft all good. And then combining that with all the power and the strength and the endurance that I had been working on, which were kind of my weaknesses.
Well, where did you feel like you maximised your output earlier in the season before the champs came?
I think those first 4 rounds before we went into that break, I thought I kind of wanted to come out pretty hard. Like I had all this energy. I was like, oh my gosh, haven't played footy for like 8 months or so. So I was really like keen to just get back out there. So I think those 4 games, like I was really feeling really fit from pre-season. So yeah, I think they were where some of my skills were really on point.
Moving into the champs, moving to Vic Metro, what were sort of the goals you aimed on setting? You built the first 4 rounds well, so what was the next step for you?
Yeah, it was just more of just trying to maintain consistency. And I think a lot of it was my mindset, just kind of playing, because obviously it was such a long year. It was like I didn't want to burn myself out, and I think it was like the mental side of things where it was, you know, you want to be playing this game because you want to play not only for yourself but for the people around you. And so it's so hard, it's so easy for people in my position leading into the AFL or the AFLW Draft to so get caught up in your own head about, oh, I didn't do this well, and it's so easy to just like accumulate all this like spiral of negative thoughts. So it's like, oh, I'm not going to get drafted because of this. But it was like my goal was just to like keep that mindset, and that was when I had that mindset, I was able to correlate into the games. So I remember that second Vic Metro game, like I didn't think I played a very good first one, and I came into that second Vic Metro game and we got smashed by South Australia. But I came into that with a mindset where it was like, okay, you're playing this game because you want to, and because I spoke to the girls before the game and I correlated that to them as well. I was like, this is a really hard opposition, but you should go out there and play to your strengths just because you want to. And that was a big focus for me.
What did you build in that champs? Was there anything you took out of it that you probably didn't have in the first half and you took into that second half as just another element to add?
Definitely. Well, I think it was just playing with the people that you were playing with. It was such a high standard in terms of the, like, in the back line, it was different to what I had at Rangers. And there was, different strengths in each of those competitions, but it was like you were playing with girls that would, hit every single target and they were willing to work harder than you were willing to work. So I think for me, it was like getting those standards from those other girls that I was able to like take and bring into my game. It was just working hard and being competitive.
Your intercepting game seemed to even move to another level, especially in that back half of the season. The offensive flair just kept getting bigger and bigger, and then even the tackle pressure kept increasing. So what was that like? What was your main focus? I mean, obviously you played about three extra games to everyone else. So what was that like, being able to keep building and building, and you just were able to get up as high as you could come the end of the year?
Yeah, I think you're always wanting to improve in any whatever field that it is that you choose to do. I think for me it was a slow burn this season, and I think that I was always improving. But I think there was a lot of competitiveness that came throughout the first half of the year, because obviously some of the games I wasn't happy with some of my performances. So I was like, okay, if I can just give myself every single opportunity I can to get to that second effort, get to that mark, get to that contest, then that's what I was willing to do, because I had this such motivation to do well, because I thought that I could have improved from my prior performances. So I think it was just my competitiveness that came out in the end. But yeah, even though I was working on my craft, I was working on my marking, because I was like, this is a strength that I have, and I want to, just keep on getting at that, because it's only going to improve me so much. So I think we worked on that a bit before and after training sessions, and yeah, I hope to think that it would show throughout the season. But
I want to touch back on the leadership. In terms of your game, do you feel like it actually makes quite a difference? Because I mean, I have this in that defenders are the best captains purely because they see everything in front of them. How did that work into your game? Like, do you actually feel that impacted it really positively, because you're able to just sort of communicate and your own role sort of comes about?
Yeah. No, that's a good question. I think it's always been a second nature to me, so it doesn't really impact me as much as it maybe not come as naturally to some other people. And I think that it actually did benefit me in the end, because I guess from the position that I was playing in, as you said, I was able to communicate with the people around me. But I always looked at it from a standpoint of, I just feed off positivity and I feed off enthusiasm, and that's what I gave to the girls all season. I was like, I never really gave anyone a spray, because I just don't think that that's how I personally benefit from that. So I think in my position, I was able to just kind of set up the field. It was run over here, run over there, and then I was able to set up the field. And I think that worked for most games, and it was also when girls were getting a bit too hyper, a bit too out of control, I was just like, hey, just calm it down, and then they were able to work better together, work better with me, work with better the people around them.
When you reflect back on your season, where do you think your output was best maximised and your strengths were just on show the best?
I think it's funny, I'd like to think that the games that I did play my best were the games that kind of had a bit of anticipation about them. I don't want to sit here and sound like a flog, but I think that the Futures game that I played in and the grand final, they were highly anticipated games. And I think I actually, believe it or not, thrive under pressure sometimes. So those games I was really able to showcase that my competitiveness and my toughness, and try and really maximize my strengths with where I was able to mark the ball a lot more, able to hit up targets, able to set up plays, able to provide that pressure against the opposition with my defense. So yeah, I think it was those high pressure games.